Hey everyone, what's going on? It's Marth, aka Taylor, aka Runescapers. And normally I just don't make videos talking about my opinion on updates or my opinion on certain things, especially going on in the RuneScape space. But we're just going to jump straight into it. So they want to reduce daily scape. So they've removed daily and weekly missions, claiming that they were too good, or at least they were so good that they've replaced them with the hero missions, which the hero missions actually do take longer than previous daily challenges or daily missions, whichever you want to call them. I'm sure you'll hear me reference to them as either missions or challenges. If you do want to complete the hero daily missions, they do in fact take longer than the old daily challenges. On top of that, if you're an Iron Man account, you can basically kiss this major update goodbye, because it doesn't involve you at all. Nothing there for you at all except for some oddments and maybe some cool cosmetics, which if you already have a lot of oddments, then again, it's useless for you, so you don't need to basically do any of it at all, as far as I'm concerned, or from what I can tell. So there's that. Like I've already stated, if you've done a lot of dailies, or if you've played your Iron Man account as your main account, then you already know that you have a high influx of oddments, that you've already been able to buy everything else in the stores with oddments, so these are useless too. It's kind of contradictive as well to the Iron Man style gameplay to receive some items for necromancy through completing some of these challenges, which it doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense to me. I do play my main account more, so I can't necessarily say that I have a very direct view or standpoint on that, but it is kind of contradictive, I would say, at least from what I can see. That does move us into the time taken to complete the daily missions now versus previously, which is much faster previously. Even when I was doing my extended dailies with Viswax and doubling the daily challenges, all three of them for the same skill, typically is how I would go about doing that. It does basically take 3 to 5 times longer now. I would say it would take me anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, depending on the skill that I was doing the daily challenge for. But now it's definitely taking upwards of like 35 to 40, if not 45 minutes, which that's quite a bit of playtime to spend just on a daily. And one daily for that matter, especially if you go through and do all your distraction and diversions and things of that nature. When you look at it, you only receive 20% of the total points needed to purchase all of the rewards from the shop, which a majority of those are, most of them are cosmetic, which is completely fine, by the way. There's nothing wrong with cosmetics. But the issue that I see here is you're only receiving 20% of the total points that you would need in order to purchase all of the cosmetic items from this by completing the battle pass up to 120, which is pretty nuts. You would also have to complete it 90 some more times in order to get all of the rewards from this, which again, I know that some people care about the cosmetics way more than other people do, which is completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. To each their own. But it's rather ridiculous how much time you actually have to spend playing content that you quote unquote wouldn't necessarily play if it wasn't on the battle pass anyways. So it's almost dictating the type of content that you're playing or how you're spending your time in the game. But again, to each their own on how individuals want to play the game within the rules and the terms and conditions. However, communicating that the hero pass is a quote unquote major update about a month after adding necromancy, which I would consider to be one of the most major updates that's been added to the game in a long time, especially because it's a fourth combat style. So it completely changes the way that the game is played as a whole. It's a huge L. This battle pass is a huge L. After spending some time watching some YouTube this morning, I did learn that they did make a news post regarding some of the feedback that they've received over the last couple of days. Now, again, I'm not sure if I only speak for myself here, but even with the yak tracks, I had to grind to complete them. And even with how much time that I do play this game, which I would definitely consider is more than the average player, but not necessarily as much as probably the top 1%, that's still a lot of time. That is still a lot of time. And with this battle pass, it seems like there's just so much more time than the yak tracks. So this pass makes it definitely feel like the content on the pass is what I should be playing rather than the content that I want to be playing when I log into the game, which also doesn't feel very right. Let's not even necessarily get into all the nitty gritty about the buff systems, but let's put it very simple like this. Remove the buff system from the battle pass and buff the actual content that's in the game, aka if you want people to go do Zamorak, Lord of Chaos, maybe you don't put a 15 to 20 hour grind in front of it where you are having to do the dungeon so many different times in order to even get to the boss so you can even practice the boss so that way you can do the boss, rather than just selling a buff in this battle pass that allows them to take reduced damage, but in return you're either going to be playing a lot of hours in order to get this buff, or you're going to be paying for bonds and buying it that way, rather than just allowing the player to have a practice mode where you have reduced damage that you receive, or you just get rid of the whole dungeon system in order to get to Zamorak in the first place. That's just one example of the buffs. And we don't have to get into every single buff, in my opinion, in order to really get the point across as to why it's a bad idea to have these on this battle pass in the first place. It's one thing to pay for membership for the game, but then when you keep smashing microtransactions right into your face as soon as you log in, especially right after adding Necro, honestly, you're seeing more new and returning players come back to the game for the first time in a while. I would say since the archaeology release would probably be a good example for that. It's pretty sad. It's unfortunate because I mean I've played this game a long time, and after seeing things like this, it just honestly makes RuneScape 3 not feel RuneScapey at all anymore. It hurts me to say that honestly, but I have to keep it real. Like I have to keep it real with myself. This is actually kind of what the game's coming to, and I know that it's a very hot topic debate, but if you wanted me to log in and play RuneScape 3 and do what's on this battle pass for the next 2 to 3 months, dictating how I'm going to be playing the content or how I go about doing these daily pass challenges or missions or whatever you want to call them, compared to logging in and doing my extended dailies where it would go take me 15 minutes for divination, for example, or things of that nature. I honestly, at this point, would much rather go play old school, because at least in that game, when you're gaining XP or you're doing some of these things, it actually feels like an accomplishment. But now, they're just basically, as per the news post that had came out today, it's basically like, hey, we know that we've presented you with this pretty horrible tasting meal. We're going to give you some things to season it a little bit better so it doesn't taste as bad, but it's still going to taste bad. But at least we're going to give you some things that'll help make it a little bit better, rather than just completely just scrapping it and redoing it and coming up with a different way, which I do see that they are making an active effort to reach out to the community and try and find some type of a common ground. But we need to keep doing what we've been doing, which is give them feedback respectfully, as well as share our thoughts. And honestly, let's be a little bit more precise about what do we want out of this battle pass, rather than just completely bringing it down and not necessarily providing any type of alternative. I think it might be worth revisiting the topic as far as what could be fixed, and whatever it is that can be fixed, what is it that you would want to see in place of that? And that is going to be my question to you guys. What do you think about this update? What do you think about the battle pass? What do you think about the new article that was released today over on the website? I'll put the link to that down in the description below. But I just wanted to kind of enter the chat, give my thoughts on it, give my perception of what I'm seeing, as well as gather some information and thoughts and comments from you guys. I'm going to be back to making more regular style content here in the near future. Let me know what you guys think about the Battle Pass down below in the comments. I'm very interested to hear what you think should be improved upon, what should be removed, and what should be done about this, because I do see quite a bit of the community that is not happy about this, and I think we've gone about it the right way. So I'm going to leave the video at that. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to seeing your comments down below.